Forgot about that. Okay, good evening and welcome to the Beaverton Library Advisory Board meeting. We're glad you're here. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. Due to recent changes to Oregon Public Meetings Law, our meetings will now be recorded. Once the video is processed by the city's web team, it will be published on our board's webpage for public viewing. All public attendees are invited to participate in the meeting at the designated opportunities. If you would like to make a comment or ask a question, use the raise hand function on Zoom to indicate so, and we will unmute your microphone for you to share. You can also use the chat feature at any time or submit a question using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Okay, we can get on to business, and I'm going to take the agenda out of order, and there's a couple of things that probably should have been on the agenda, and I apologize for not getting that fixed in time. Kathleen, we know, is not here tonight. Also, as Glenn mentioned, Councilor Sansucci will not be here tonight either. First order of business, and we'll tackle, is the minutes. And I found several things. Did anybody else see anything that needed changing? Okay.
Unmute. Start video. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I'm talking. Hang on.
Welcome, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay, the first item in the circulation update, that second sentence says, July is the busiest month for circulation and 55% of all items circulating during the summer at children's materials, I think is supposed to be our children's materials. Then in the director's report, the first sentence, I think it should just say, Victoria Campbell presented the director's report on behalf of Glenn Ferdman, rather than who could not attend the meeting. I don't think that should be in the minutes. Is everybody okay with that? And then the last item, and this is unfortunate with Kathleen not here, but the last sentence, last two sentences, and I hope everybody has the minutes in front of them, are not at all the way I remember what happened, although my recollection is not clear. Does anybody have a good recollection of what Kathleen brought up?
I can go back and review the recording too.
Oh, okay.
And update it. And then, yeah, bring changes to the next meeting, or shoot them to you, and you can take a look at them and see if it more accurately describes what happened. But yeah, the recording's available.
Or we could leave that out altogether and make it easier.
Up to you.
I don't know, does anybody remember anything specifically about that, about what we did discuss? Andrew, Sarah, Wayne?
I mean, the sentence about Kathleen asking about us expanding our influence to further help the library sounds accurate. She did say what else, what other, she did bring up what else could we do as a board. But if you remember it differently, that's fine.
I think she did ask that. I think there's an implication that maybe she was asking, or the implication is kind of that we go beyond what our mission states we're supposed to do. And really what she was talking about was unnecessary in that it's really already covered in the mission, was what I had said. Does that jive with your memory, Andrew?
Yeah, it was making sure that we're doing all of the things in our mission statement
right.
We're thinking that perhaps there's some parts of it that we haven't had as much focus on.
Which is true, and we had covered that, you'll remember last year. I mean, it was because it was one of the meetings we had in person. I know that, where I had actually gone over each of the 4 items in our mission and addressed them, and we agreed that the 3 of the items in there that we're very much doing, and the one area where we were falling short was participation in the budget process, and we have subsequently made that a focus. So, okay. If we just leave that out of the minutes, which I think then would probably be best, we could approve the minutes as amended. Can I get a motion to do that?
I'll motion to approve it as we discussed.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so the minutes as amended are approved. Since we have 2 guests with us tonight, I will not make them sit through a whole lot of stuff. We'll get to their presentations as soon as we can. But the next thing I do need to do, and this will help with that anyway, is the city has asked us to do, in essence, a commercial, or I think they're calling it an open house, for the boards and commissions, and specifically for our board. And I don't know, did everybody get the message about that? Okay, I'm going to quickly read what they say. Create a 10-minute agenda item at the top of the meeting to function as a mini open house for your board members of the public. For your board members of the public, and this is for the public, to learn more about what your board commission does. And it says introductions, have a couple of people talk about why they applied and what they enjoy about it, discuss the function, purpose, mission of your board commission, discuss your current and future priorities and projects, provide an opportunity for questions, and refer people to the website www.beavertonoregon.gov/get-involved to apply. So I've done the last, and you don't have to back up your tape if you're among the multitudes viewing this online after the fact. You can simply go to the city website and find this easily to apply. And that's for any board or commission, not just ours. So what I suggest we do, and this is for Jenny as well, since I know she appeared at our meeting last year, but hasn't really gotten a chance to meet everybody, is to introduce ourselves, first and last name, and give your professional elevator speech. Does everybody know what an elevator speech is? No? Okay. Sarah, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You can come up with something quick. It's a very brief, I'll do mine to give you an example. It is a very
I don't know what an elevator speech is.
It's a very brief explanation. They say elevator speech because if you're on an elevator with somebody and you're talking, you have very little time to talk. So it's really like a 1-sentence summation of what you do. So mine is, I'm John Henshell. I'm a freelance business writer and communications consultant. I add value to my clients' words through adept use of diction, syntax, context, and visual images. Okay. That's mine. Now, then the third component of your introduction, which is not literally what they're asking for here, but something that I think I would like any candidates for the library board to hear. And that is, tell us what you missed most about the library during any stage of the pandemic from full closure until now. And I know, because every time we ask a question like this, we get such a great variety of answers. Sarah, I'm going to make it easy for you. We'll let you go last.
Oh, that's okay.
So-
No, you've already put
so-
me on the spot. I will totally go. I will go first,
Oh,
John.
okay. Oh, all right. Okay.
I miss the smell of the books. Is that weird? My name's Sara Larson. I handle auto insurance claims. This is my second year on the board, so my first term. And yeah, I miss the smell of the paper. That's probably one of my favorite, most comforting smells from my past. So to me, it's just a weird comfort.
I think it's a great answer. Cathy?
Hi, I'm Cathy Wasnick. I'm an alternate for the Library Advisory Board. So this is my first year. First and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 3 daughters, but I also sub with the Beaverton School District as a classified sub. And what I missed most during the pandemic was just being able to flip through. I love just walking in and going through the new books section and just flipping through books and reading the back cover. And I love to read cookbooks a lot. So seeing all the, does it have a lot of pictures? What are the recipes? So just physically holding the books was what I missed the most.
Mei? Oh, you're muted.
Hi, I'm Mei. I've been living here in Beaverton for 3 years, and this is my second year in the board, first term at the first term. And what I miss is the kids in the library during story time. I miss a lot, those lovely kids. That's all.
That's great. Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew. I am a computer engineer doing interoperability work. What I miss most about the library is being able to take my stack of books, sit in one of the comfy chairs and start reading it right then before even checking out. So can't do that.
Great. Kathleen? Oh, you're muted.
Hi, I'm Kathleen. I moved to Beaverton 10 years ago to go to do my master's in library science. And this is my first year on the board as an alternate. And I miss volunteering at the kids programs. They have great opportunities to help out with the activities there, and I just have a really good time. They have a great program design. I love to see what they come up with to teach the kids to do, and the kids always really appreciate it, and they're so excited running around. So I miss volunteering at the library.
Brad?
I'm Brad Schrock. This is my last year on the board. Let's see, I'm an attorney and I do primarily business and estate work in Beaverton, but I do miscellaneous other stuff also. What I miss just looking around randomly at books. When I do go in the library, I often don't have a specific thing I'm looking for, and I just kind of wander the aisles and stop in different areas of the shelves that strike my interest because of a colorful book or the title or whatever it is, the subject matter, and I like browsing around that way.
Good. Sara?
Me, Sarah? Okay. Hello, my name is Sarah Keene. I use she, her pronouns. My profession, I am the Senior VP of Finance with the Timbers and Thorns. And what I miss most about the library, I'm going to go opposite, and I'm going to say what COVID forced me to do was to finally download Libby and get a library books electronically, and it's been life-changing. So thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm glad you answered too. You're more than welcome to participate. I actually met Sara, our board member. We now have 3 Saras here tonight. but I'm really glad you chose to participate. So
Sorry
about
about
Sarah.
Okay, I'm Sara Rajkumar. I'm a software quality engineer. I have been at board for 5 years. This is my second term. I'm having one more year. And I miss the fun activities, craft activities in the library and the interaction with the library staff. The kids activities and the adult activities, both I enjoyed there a lot. I miss that. Thank you.
You know, I didn't answer that question myself, and I should. I miss everything. I miss programs, books. I miss having our board meetings in person. But you know, I think for me, not having access to books when we were completely closed before we started the books to go I was ready to go through a 10-step program. It was hard. I was reading books in my wife's collection that were awful. I was desperate. So to answer the other questions, the function, purpose, mission of our board, I asked you to have those statements ready. So I'll ask for a couple of volunteers to address that for people who may be watching and are interested in possibly joining the board. Okay, I wrote down some numbers. Knowing that we have this square arrangement, and the first number I wrote down was Cathy. So it was 4. So you're 4 on my screen, Cathy. So you get to take this first. What can you tell prospective members about our mission?
I would say our mission is to represent people, members of the community, in terms of listening to different things that the library is providing or interested in doing. I know for me, being a member of the board has allowed me to have a lot of great opportunities with friends and other people that I know to informing them of things that are going on with the library. So I guess I kind of see my part here is to be kind of a voice for the community for things that are going on.
Absolutely. And my next number is 7. That's Andrew on my screen.
I think another part of our mission that I think is important is just representing the library to the city council. So if they have any questions or anything, we get to give our insight into what should be done if they have any questions, or tell them how things are going with the library, keeping them up to date from our perspective.
As well as in normal times, making an annual report to
Yes.
the city council to tell them about our activities. My next number is 1, that's Kristen. So 5, Sara Larson.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not receive this email, so I was just not very prepared for tonight's meeting. This is a video that they're gonna present.
This is serving as a virtual open house for prospective board members who maybe, I assume if anybody's watching live, they would appear on the screen. Is that right, Kristen? Okay, so we know we have no live members of the community watching. It would be people who are watching the video after it's posted to the library website.
Well, I think that they gave some great answers. For me personally, I'm still fairly new, but it's been really nice to hear feedback from the community and see how seriously the library takes the community's feedback. So to me, it's kind of a conversation about what's going on, but what are we doing well, and how does the community feel about it? What can we do better?
Okay. And functions, about things that we actually do. Let's see, 5, 2 is me. Okay. One of our major functions is we write the library's policies. They are made by us. And as Cathy was talking about, we are representatives of the community. And that is why the policies go through us. What else do we do? Let's see, I've got 9 is Kathleen. Kathleen, you're muted.
Sorry. I'm still trying to figure this out. I didn't receive the scene either, so I'm sort of struggling to try and think of things.
All right, we won't leave you on the spot. Would anybody else like to volunteer or something about what else?
Oh, we did. Sorry, we did help with the strategic plan, which I
Very good.
really enjoyed the process of. Sort of those brainstorming sessions we had. I thought were sweet, and seeing what words people picked out, and sorry. So that was something we did, which I really felt good about.
And there's one more specific thing I'm looking for. Would anybody like to volunteer that? Okay, when we had talked about our mission, the one area where we found that we had fallen short was part of our mission, which is 4 numbered points, is to advocate for the library budget. And that is something that we are working towards. So thank you all for participating. And if you are a prospective member, we look forward to your application. We have on our board 7 members. We each serve 3-year terms when appointed. We're all appointed by the mayor and city council. First interviewed by the board chair and the director, which at the moment is myself as the outgoing chair, because we also have term limits, which is a maximum of 2 3-year terms. And I am also in my 6th year. And Glenn Ferdman, who is our library director. And you can, as I said, you can serve 2 terms. You do have to reapply for a 2nd term. So it's a little bit of a bureaucratic process. It's a lot like applying to get into a college or applying for a job, and you have the essay questions and the interview, and I do have to warn people that to make it even more stressful this year, the mayor will be sitting in on interviews. And I'm sure that's going to be an interesting experience for all of us. And it's a great way to learn more about the city, to learn more about the library. We do also have, in addition to our 7 members, up to 2 alternates by the bylaws. We have 2 alternates this year. They could become regular members next year, as we have technically 3 openings next year. We have 1 member who must apply for a 2nd term and 2 members leaving, which creates 3 openings. A normal progression would be to have alternates join the board if they wish to reapply and they have contributed during their time as alternates. So thank you. Thanks for everybody for bearing with us while we get through this process, and we can go back to business as usual now. Sarah Keene is here for the public forum to address the Visioning Advisory Board survey. And I'll turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, thank you. I guess I already introduced myself, but I'm Sarah Keene from the Vision Advisory Board. Thank you for giving us a little bit of time on your board tonight. And thank you for being community members who volunteer your time to make the library great. I really appreciate that as well. I know we all have busy lives, so I appreciate whenever people put the extra time in. So I'm here tonight because every 5 years or so, the city goes out to refresh its vision. And that's really the main purpose of the Vision Advisory Committee, is to facilitate that outreach to the public and translate that into a vision that's really useful for staff, for citizens, for partners, to something to build towards. And you know, a lot's happened in the world since we've done the last vision, and we want to put some surveys out there and make sure that it's still relevant, that we're talking to being as inclusive as possible in the process and getting all the voices in Beaverton. So we're really just starting the process, and COVID has thrown many wrenches in our outreach process. But one of the things that it has done is it's made it pretty easy to visit the city boards in this Zoom meeting fashion. So we haven't quite figured out how, but we'd love to connect with other city boards in the outreach process in any way we can. So the first thing we've done is we put together a very small survey that's just supposed to be a snapshot, a quick pulse check of the community to see where folks are at and what's still relevant. Right now, our current goals are build community, expand public services, create a vibrant downtown, improve mobility, and enhance livability. And so I'll post our current survey in the chat function, and I encourage you all to take it, to spread it to any of your networks. It might close September 15th. We've asked for it to be extended for another 2 weeks to get a little more input. But this, again, this is just the initial outreach. We're going to do kind of based on this initial bit and some conversations, then we'll do more outreach, and we'll be, if we can in person soon, be tabling events in person, have some conversations with the public, be working with our partners in the community, other organizations, nonprofits, other boards. And so I think I've just said a lot of words. Hopefully they mostly made sense. But and so tonight I'm happy just to put the link in and leave you be. I'm also happy to hear any ideas of how your board might connect with ours, or any ideas you have about the outreach process. I'll also put my email in there. So if you have any ideas about how to make Beaverton better, or how to specifically do this visioning work, you know, I would love to hear that. So that is pretty much my spiel. I'd open it up to any questions. And John, I'll leave it to you to cut it off whenever you need to.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Sara?
I just wanted to say that that's fantastic, and I'm excited to see that and be a part of it.
Thank you, Sara.
Okay, any other questions? Sara, thank you for coming tonight. You're more than welcome to stay, and if you have other things you need to do, we won't feel that you're rude if you leave.
I have a few kiddos to put to bed, so I'm going to go do that. But thank you again. And once I find the link in my email, I'm going to put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to One Book, One Beaverton. This is our fourth year, Jenny?
It is.
Fourth year. And let's see, we've had two nonfiction books and one fiction book so far. So we have something new this year. This is the great pre-reveal preview that we get. And you can tell us all about it. You can introduce yourself first if you'd like to.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, John, for the introduction and good memory with the one fiction, two nonfiction. So I'm Jenny Chamberlain, and I'm a public services librarian at the library. And this is when I come to you annually and tell you the secret book that we've chosen, still secret to the public. So please don't tell anyone else, not that you would, but if you get so excited. So the book that we've chosen for our fourth annual community-wide read, as John pointed out this year, is, drumroll please, it's called The Cold Millions by Jess Walter. Jess Walter is an author from Spokane, Washington, so Pacific Northwest local. He wrote the #1 New York Times bestseller, Beautiful Ruins, back in 2012, which some of you may be familiar with. It was definitely doing the book club rounds back then. It was pretty popular at the time. He's also the author of other novels, The Financial Lives of Poets, Citizen Vince, and The Zero. So The Cold Millions is an incredibly captivating historical novel that's set in the Pacific Northwest in the early 1900s. It's an eye-opening portrayal of our nation's class divisions and really sort of the roots of our nation's class divisions. And it's brought to life by an amazingly vibrant cast of characters, some of whom are real historical figures and some of whom are just made up by the author. So the main story follows these young brothers, Gig and Rye, who are in Spokane in 1909, and they work grueling odd jobs each day as itinerant workers, and they spend their nights sleeping wherever they can in fields, outdoors, with other day laborers. Gig is the older brother, and he is a passionate union man. He's fighting for fair pay. He's calling out the corrupt employers who are trying to exploit the working class. And his younger brother, Rye, really looks up to him, wants to emulate him, but he can't quite muster that same passion that Gig has for this labor rights cause. But he ends up taking part in the Great Free Speech protests, which were organized by the International Workers of the World, also known as the Wobblies. And he ends up getting thrown in jail. And his case catches the eye of the well-known activist and suffragette Elizabeth Gurley Flynn, who was a real person. And he's soon swept into this chaotic world of labor activism, and he has run-ins with corrupt businessmen and violent policemen and other unsavory characters. So the chapters alternate between several characters whose voices and experiences and perspectives really offer this dynamic and intimate portrait of this very specific time period in the Pacific Northwest when it was sort of here like a crossroads between the untamed Wild West and this, kind of quote unquote civilized like East Coast mentality of society. So we chose the book for a few reasons, because it's entertaining, it's well written, and because it's set in the Pacific Northwest and the author is from the Northwest as well, which is a huge bonus. And because although it's a historical novel, many of the themes that it addresses are very
Frozen.
Danny, you froze.
Okay.
How about now? Am I back?
Yes. You're gone again.
No. Oh, how about now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. All right, I'll just back up a little bit. So we chose it because even though it's historical fiction, it still sort of mirrors a lot of issues that we are grappling with today. So labor rights, extreme class divisions, police brutality, issues around free speech. We are very confident that our community will connect with the book on these multiple levels, and that it will spark great discussion among friends and neighbors and strangers who will hopefully read it and attend our programs. So we will be announcing the title to the public in early November, and then we'll begin handing out free copies at a book giveaway on November 13th at both library locations. And then we'll be hosting a bunch of related events, as we always do during the month of January. And that will be followed by a visit from the author on February 5th, which is very exciting since last year we didn't have the author. Very excited to have the author this year. The plan for now is to have these events in person.
Yeah.
But we're prepared to pivot to virtual. It's like we're pros at this now. So if that's what's necessary, to keep people safe, we'll absolutely do that. So we would love to offer you all a copy of the book. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you are interested in getting a copy of the book, please email me. And then after we receive the books, which will probably be in early October, I'll contact you with instructions about how you can pick up your copy. So I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat. And does anyone have any questions?
No, but thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sounds
I always
great.
appreciate, yeah, obviously I'm biased, but it's a really enjoyable book. He's a really strong writer. It's got a kind of, it's not a Western exact, I mean, it's a Western because it takes place in the West. It has these sort of, it's got, I don't know, all sorts of, it's a noir, it's detective fiction, it's Western, it's actiony, but it's also brings up all these amazing issues. Yeah, Glenn.
Hey, thank you so much. I just was looking in the chat and I noticed that you listed the domain as .com.
Whoops.
Your email address?
Let me fix that. It's because I was
Okay.
talking at the same time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for pointing that out.
So it sounds like it's very political as well.
It is somewhat political, yes. Yeah. Yeah. She'll give people a lot to talk about. All right. If
I
there's
think
no
it's
more
good. I think-
questions.
I
Is this
want to
a-
congratulate you.
Sarah
and the
has her hand
team.
up. Sarah Raj has her hand up, John.
Okay, Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah.
Is this a bilingual? So the book is only available in English or?
So it's a newer book, which means it has not yet been translated. So it will only be, it'll be available in the different formats, you know, downloadable ebook, audiobook, large print, but it has not yet been translated into other languages.
Got it.
Good question.
And
though. Thank you.
what is thank you. What is the age target you are looking for? Teenagers and adults or only adults?
The age, so usually you know, this is a program primarily for adults. I think older teens, I think it could be read by older teens. I don't think there's anything, you know, super inappropriate, but definitely we target this program for adults.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
May, did you have a question? Oh, okay. Well, I started to say, Jenny, I want to congratulate you and the team because I think you did a really good job of picking an intriguing title again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think it will be very popular.
I hope so. Yeah.
It appeals on a lot of different levels.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm hoping for some, you know, some name recognition for the author because I think many people have heard of him. Yes, Glenn.
Yes, I'd just like to add that, and this relates to a comment that was mentioned earlier, I think with respect to the last meeting, and having to do with what else can the board do on behalf of the library. Well, in this particular case, what this board can do is to help promote our this year's One Book, One Beaverton title and to encourage folks in the community to read the book and participate in our programs and tell others about it.
Do we do flyers
Exactly.
or anything like that?
Do you mean do you as the board or do we do flyers?
Both. I would love to go door to door and tell people about it, but I was just, are there any like materials that we have access to or?
Yes, they're not ready yet because we're still sort of, you know, like in the beginning stages, but as of the day that we start giving away the book, we will have a program guide, which is like a little booklet that has all the information about the book and the author and the programs, you know, little blurbs about that and the times and everything you would need to know to participate in the program. So
Great.
I would be thrilled if you wanted to go around
Yeah.
door to door. That would be amazing.
And in these times that may not be possible, but going back to the very first year of the program, we were very much encouraged. I think everybody who got a free copy of the book was encouraged to pass it around as much as possible.
Yeah.
And my copy, after my wife and I read it, I took it to a NAC meeting and gave it away. And, you know, I don't know if we're going to have any face-to-face NAC meetings before the program season ends in January, but you know, if that does happen, or even after then, you know, that type of thing is a great idea. Glenn?
You can always donate your copy after you finish reading it back to the library so we can make it available for others. Is that correct, Jenny?
Yes, yes, we did not do that last year for obvious reasons, but I think this year we absolutely can do that. Yeah, yeah, because they do go very quickly. Usually we're out of books in a couple weeks. So yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, in response to your question, Sarah, it is absolutely our job to promote all the programs as much as we possibly can. This being definitely one of them. Part of our outreach, part of bringing the community together. Any other questions or comments for Jenny? Thanks so much, Jenny, and Andrew, you have.
Do you have plans to get the author to speak in anything?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he'll be coming on he'll be coming in person if at all possible on February 5th, which is a Saturday. Or if it's not possible, we'll do it over Zoom.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the City Council report. And as we know, Mark isn't here tonight. And we've gotten so much information coming about what's going on with the city, but Glenn, if you have anything important to add to that.
Yes, John, I do, insofar as last night's City Council meeting, the council heard an action item to approve a DDA developers agreement for the purchase of the Book Corner property that's owned by the city, which is currently the site of the Friends of the Library Book Corner operation. And the City Council undertook a motion to not approve the sale, which passed. So in essence, the sale is not going through. And instead, what the council did was to request that the city staff come back with an alternate proposal for the development of that property, the property in which the Book Corner resides, which again is owned by the city. However, in the meantime, the Friends of the Library will continue to occupy that space and run the Book Corner operation as they have done in the past.
Okay, well, that's, at least in the short run, good news, I think, for everybody. We'll move on. Is anything going on with the foundation currently?
Sorry?
Is anything currently going on with the foundation?
Yes, so the update for the foundation, just let me pull that up momentarily. Here we are. Foundation board is working with, through me, with our new volunteer program coordinator to identify prospective new foundation board members, as well as folks with development and or fundraising background. And we'll also be, the library will be revisiting the topic of resubmitting the request for a half-time outreach specialist, potentially submitting that as part of the supplemental budget process, which is we're in the midst of right now, so that we would have adequate staffing to support the acquisition of a bookmobile or an additional outreach vehicle, which the foundation has committed to purchase in the past. So stay tuned on those developments.
That's very good. And I'll add to that, Glenn, for the people who may be watching this at any point who are not here tonight. If you're considering applying for this board, you might also consider applying for the foundation board. The foundation is very simply a big scale fundraising organization for the library. And if people who are extroverted and have good skills, have any fundraising experience, we would love to have you join. We have room for several people, Glenn?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So consider that as well, and that might be a better fit for you. It's something to think about if you're thinking about volunteering for the library. In these times, it's a little bit difficult. And so this is, again, one very good opportunity if you have the right personality and skills to do that. The Friends report, Kathleen sent an email message that arrived about 15 minutes before the meeting started. So I think that probably sums up probably most of what you need to know. The book sale. What's that?
You want me to read it off so that it's part of the meeting?
Sure.
All right, so this is from Kathleen, so none of this is me. Retail sales at the Book Corner have been healthy. The Book Corner dropped the requirement for appointments to shop, and I've continued to do good business on Saturdays. Amazon sales stagnated for the first time in 2021, but the volume is so much greater than 2020, and cumulative sales are higher still. From 2020 to 2021, online sales have doubled. In July, the new Friends of the Beaverton City Library gave a gift of $10,000 to the library for the items on the wish list presented by Michelle. So July statistics look worse than they are because of the large expense. Overall sales are robust and growing, and she's very anxious to see the results of the book sale. She also wants to thank everyone who volunteered and said that she had a lot of fun putting stickers on the books and trying to figure out which one she wanted. And John has a picture of the book sale paraphernalia.
Yeah, this is actually, it turns out, an ad that the Friends paid for on one of these free newspapers, right on the front cover, which is very nice. And the sale concluded on the 5th, and as of Friday, they had raised, I believe it was $14,000. So that's off the top of my head. That is very unofficial. Glenn, you have a more accurate figure.
I do. As of the end of the sale, John, they had grossed approximately $16,000. That's
really good. That's in a week. A lot of businesses would be pretty happy to do that, I think. And ultimately, that's going to be a great help to the library. And especially if the Friends are displaced anytime soon, they have a little bit of cushion to help with that. Before we do the director's report, I want to bring up one quick item of old business. And that is adding on to what Kathleen brought up last month, where she had made a motion asking to have the vice chair formally be the liaison to the Friends, or either that or be the liaison to the Friends or the foundation, one board or the other, and did not seem to generate much interest among the board. So I have come up with what may be a solution to that, I hope. And what triggered this was looking at the interview questions that the city wrote in the past that every one of you, every one of us has been asked multiple times, because the city has not changed this for several years. And so we get asked the same questions, and they're largely duplicative of what's on the actual application. One of the questions asks about the type of commitment you're willing to make. Are you willing to, it says something like, beyond the regular meetings, you may be asked to serve additional evening meetings, make presentations to community groups, things like that. And are you willing to do that? And every one of us answered that question, yes. So I think we are willing. And I looked at the bylaws. I had thought, and I'm going to read this to you quickly. I had thought that the chair could appoint subcommittees. That's actually incorrect. What it says in the bylaws is subcommittees. A subcommittee may be formed by a motion and simple majority of the full board. The motion should include a description of the purpose, scope, number of members, and duration of the subcommittee. And so my suggestion going forward for next year's board would be to create subcommittees of maybe three members, who serve as liaisons to the Friends and to the Foundation. And so it would mean if there are 3 members, you would each go to maybe 4 meetings a year, which seems very reasonable to me. It would get the entire board involved in one form of external relations that I think would benefit all 3 boards. But I'm not going to do anything now. I'm not even going to suggest a motion, because this is September of this year. We'll have a different board next year. We'll have at least 2 new members. We'll have a different chair. And I think the people who are there at the time should be the ones deciding this, first of all. And second of all, because we are still in the throes of a pandemic and not having face-to-face meetings, I think this would be a really awkward time to be asking anybody to try to participate in some specific external activities. So my suggestion to the board is, please remember this. If you're chair or vice chair next year, please bring it up. I think it's a good way to share the wealth, get everybody some extra experience. Any questions or comments on that?
Oh, that's a good idea, John. And it doesn't require us to rewrite the bylaws, which is quite helpful.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's doing within the framework of what we've done in the past, when we actually had a representative of our board attending all the foundation board and all the Friends boards meetings, 2 different representatives. That was something outside the bylaws. That was just a volunteer activity. But this would be something that is very specifically within the framework. So I think that is helpful. Good.
Well, and I just had a comment too. I like the
Sure.
idea of, I thought it was a good idea to have multiple people on these subcommittees. So it wasn't so much that one person, well, maybe somebody did want to do it, but couldn't commit to every month.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That was a nice idea.
I think it is really good because at least we can have more participation and being a bridge or somewhat like that. So I totally agree to what you said.
Good.
By the way,
thank you.
do we have to, if we really want to change the bylaw, do we have the right to do so? I think within the board, or we are only given suggestion to the library or higher authority to change the bylaw.
We do have to go through a higher authority, which is the city council. So any change we wish to make can emanate from us, but has to be approved by the city council.
Then I think your suggestion is better.
Yes. Good. Well, thank you for the enthusiastic response. And I'm glad to leave that behind me. And we can move on, Glenn, to the director's report.
Okay, thank you, John. I'm going to lead with an update on the Library of Things, which is a carryover item from last month. And John asked me to incorporate into the director's report for this meeting. And the express interest of the board was about the items added. My understanding was the item added to the collection since the last update. And so I'm going to share with you the information that was provided to me for this board by our materials manager, Michelle Caldwell, who is responsible for the Library of Things collection. So a little bit of background, and that back in March of last year, shortly after the library shut down for the initial 2 weeks in response to the pandemic, we resumed the purchase and cataloging of print and audiovisual materials for the collection. And However, the purchase and processing of library of things items virtually ceased because at that point we didn't have any way of delivering them to patrons. We had not yet launched the curbside service. And moreover, without the assistance of volunteers, et cetera, we didn't have the ability to catalog and process those items, which are very labor intensive, as many of them, particularly things like board games, individual items have to be tagged, labeled, et cetera. So there's a lot of work that goes involved in them. Currently, the cataloging of library of things items is still on hold while our technical services team continues to transition back to pre-COVID workflows, and with the goal of beginning to address the backlog of purchase library of things materials sometime this fall. Now, with respect to acquisitions for those items, while we still have a backlog of materials, we are not going to be actively acquiring materials compared to the past. Rather, our goal is going to be to reduce that backlog. In fact, we had a meeting earlier today of the library executive team, and we discussed as a goal reducing that backlog and developing a strategy to enable us to do that and complete the cataloging and processing of the entire backlog by the end of this fiscal year. And what that would look like, what we would need to do in order to successfully achieve that goal. And then once we begin to address the cataloging and processing of the backlog of items from that collection, we'll begin to resume purchasing new items, which both staff and patrons have suggested. And as far as the priority of those items to be added to the collection, once we've begun to address the backlog, those priority items for acquisition include the following categories of things: appliances and tools, including things like rice cookers, bread making machines, electric knife sharpeners, and something called the Dremel, which I must admit, I don't know what that is.
It's like a little sanding tool.
A lot of people use them to trim their dog's nails. It's popular for.
Thank you.
It's a rotary tool. You can put any number of attachments on it, much like you can with a drill.
Okay.
Those would actually be really great in the makerspace if we don't have any of those in that area. Very good crafting supply.
Very good. Thank you. So I'm assuming that Dremel is actually a name of a particular product?
It's a brand name.
Brand name. Okay. That's had you said John Rotary tool, I would have been, aha, I know what that is. But I didn't recognize Dremel. So thank you for that. The next category of items for acquisition are electronics, including a white noise machine, an infrared thermometer, camcorder, DVD Blu-ray player, portable photo booth, and microphone. The next category of items are musical instruments and recreation, including a violin, croquet sets, disc golf sets, badminton sets, and a poker chip suitcase. Not that the library encourages gambling, but purely for recreational purposes, of course. The next to last category is the juvenile library of things STEM toys, including Osmo games, play with personal tablets and software application, Dash and Star Wars bots, various building sets such as Lincoln Logs, magnetic blocks, and Legos. And then finally, Michelle says, lots and lots of board games and puzzles for all ages, as we've been processing a handful of these items in recent months. Due to their popularity, we're going to continue to acquire those materials. So I just want to pause before moving on to the rest of the director's report to see if there are any questions on anything that I've mentioned about the plans for addressing both the backlog as well as new acquisitions for the Library of Things. Okay, if you think of any, as I continue with the director's report, feel free. We can always go back to them at the end. Okay, update about the new city manager. As I hope all of the members of this board know, the city's new permanent city manager, Jenny Hariyama, started work on August the 23rd. She has hit the ground running, as I can attest. She was previously the city manager in Tracy, California, Northern California, and brings with her a great deal of municipal experience. She is also looking to fill, as this board may also be aware, the budget committee approved the creation of an assistant city manager position for this fiscal year. And Jenny, our new city manager, is looking forward to filling that vacancy. And on an interim basis, she has indicated her desire to appoint one or more members of the city department's head team, of which I, as the library director, is a member, as a interim or potentially co-interim assistant city managers until such time as she can successfully complete the recruitment and hiring of a permanent assistant city manager. Moving on to the budget, the fall supplemental budget period, as I mentioned a few moments ago, has begun. And the city departments have until the last week of the month to submit their requests. And we have discussed the possibility of resubmitting our request for that half-time outreach specialist to add capacity, much needed capacity to our outreach area, and also allow us to move ahead with the purchase of an additional outreach vehicle, or AKA our bookmobile. So I'll keep the board posted on that process. On the personnel front, recruitment update, we recently hired a new permanent volunteer program coordinator, which is a part-time position, and his name is Zach Wegman, who began on August the 15th. Zach was an existing library assistant 2 prior to being hired as the new volunteer program coordinator. He's also hit the ground running and helped to with the logistics for the very successful Friends of the Library used book and media sale operation or event. We are also entering the final round of the recruitment and hiring for a new reference and programming supervisor. That's a new position for us. We have identified a finalist candidate who actually will be coming into town tomorrow for an on-site meet and greet and additional round of questioning on Thursday and Friday of this week. And if all goes well, we hope to be able to announce a hire sometime in the coming week. Our new material supervisor, Megan McDaniel, started beginning of last month and is working with our circulation team. She brings a wealth of experience, having worked previously as a branch manager, the Multnomah County Library System. And we're currently recruiting for a vacant bilingual Spanish-English reference assistant position in our community engagement division. And the posting closed this past Monday. We're also in the process of renegotiating the contract for the services of a social worker 3 days a week at the main library with our community partner, Community Action. Hope to have that in place very shortly so that we can resume offering those services to patrons in need. And moving on to facilities related items, our new study rooms, or what we're calling study cubes, have been completed, about 99% complete. We just need to configure the scheduling software, which we're hoping to do in the coming weeks, and announce a ribbon cutting and grand opening of those spaces to the public. And we will be inviting the members of this board, along with others who are interested and available, to participate in the grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony. So stay tuned about that. Very excited that earlier today, we began to install cabling and hardware for the extension of the Wi-Fi signal outside of the main library to include the plaza area and grassy area in front of the library. And then next week, we hope to complete the configuration and setup and go live with that extension of the signal on behalf of residents of the community. And that will be available 24/7. We're also looking forward to expand hours and bring back the Monday and Thursday hours at Murray Shoals branch in order to be consistent once again with those at Main, and also to level out demand for service at the branch, as we've discovered that when we have more hours and days of service available, that helps to even out demand and results in less crowded conditions at the library. The makerspace, which was actually completed last March, as in March of 2020, but we have not been able to open to the public due to the pandemic. We have set a date, a reopening or an opening date rather, of December for that space to the public in a limited capacity. And so stay tuned for more information about what that will comprise of and consist of as that information is available. Our summer reading program concluded on August the 31st. Very successful program. I want to pull up now some information about that. Just give me one moment, please, because it's very exciting news about that. Here we go. Beginning with the adult summer reading program, we had close to 400 participants. It was a collaboration with Meals on Wheels, Read to Feed, and we saw a 44% increase in participation. And as a result, we were able to sponsor 135 meals in conjunction with our Meals on Wheels partner. In the youth summer reading program, Reading Colors Your World, we had more than 2,100 children who completed the summer reading program. And then more than 500 teens completed the program compared to last year's total of 456. So there was a significant increase. And as well, we had nearly 1,000 more finishers, children finishers this year compared to last year. So that was very successful. And continuing on the programming front, our song circle, which our very own Kristen Fidler helps to coordinate, met for the first time in person. I believe it was this past month, since March of 2020. And they met on the lawn in front of the library. And Kristen, do you have anything else about that program that you'd like to share with the board? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh no, I'll talk about Song Circle anytime. It was so much fun. It was so much fun to see everyone in real life and to sing a little and to be outside. It was a beautiful evening. It was great. It was really great. We're going back to virtual this month, but we did get one sweet summer night together. So it was great.
A midsummer night's dream of sorts.
It was a dream.
Thank you for sharing that. And then last month, we delivered 50 programs, primarily virtually, with more than 1,400 participants, including adults, children's, teens, as well as multi-generational events. And 80% of our participants were new to our programs, 80% this past month. I'd like to also share some feedback we received from patrons who participated in our programs last month. Here's a comment from someone who participated in our book chat happy hour. Quote, "A lot of connections and good discussion happened when one patron shared about being married to a person with autism. Another patron had a son with autism. We talked about a lot of books related to the subject. It was a real community building moment." That was actually a staff comment based on information shared by participants. Here's another staff comment about our Death Cafe event. This was the last Death Cafe in 2021, so our regular participants were feeling emotional. The discussions have been incredibly meaningful. We're taking a break to work on other programs. We'll bring Death Cafe back in spring of 2020. And then finally, a staff comment on the end of the summer reading program Bonanza. People came and had a good time. Bach to Rock came and had a table set up, plus music and instruments kids could play. We had 3 teenagers making friendship bracelets and 1 senior who was not with children. Oh, and 1 senior who was not with the kids, I think making the bracelet. I think that's what that meant. Okay, and go back to the director's report. And last item is the library executive team has been meeting to discuss changes to our service model in light of the current COVID situation, and we have agreed to reduce slightly the number of chairs available in the library, again, as a result of the current COVID situation, and to increase distancing of members of the public to ensure health and safety of our patrons and staff. And I just want to mention something related to what came up in earlier discussions about, that was during the open house when we're going around and sharing what we miss about the library. I just want to make sure that members of the board are aware that we are in fact open to the public with no limits on the number of patrons who can be in the building, as well as no time limits. Patrons are welcome to browse our collections and even smell them, though you do have to keep your face covering on the entirety of your visit. You're also welcome to sit and read materials that you remove from the shelves. Again, there are no limits for how long you wish to visit the library, and this is true of both locations. So I just want to make sure that the board is aware of our current service model. And again, that's true of both of our locations. And with that, I want to conclude the director's report and open it up to any questions.
I can't remember a time where we've had so many exciting things going on, and I think it's great that you are able to do so much given the current service limitations and societal limitations. It just, circulation is impressive, the programming is impressive. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
John.
I was going to say, I don't really have a question. It was more just a comment of it. There was so much exciting stuff that you were sharing that I was kind of taking notes on all the things that I was excited about. So it was just great to hear. Especially, I really think just the Library of Things is such a neat idea that I talked to different people about it, and people who live in different parts of the country are just amazed. Your library will let you borrow a pasta maker. Your library lets you borrow all these different things, and I think it's great. I feel really lucky to have those services. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Kathy. To the best of my knowledge, we still have the county's largest collection of air fryers. I think it's about 10 and counting in response to the demand.
I have been considering trying
Okay.
that. My mom's telling me I need one, so I gotta borrow it.
And Kathy, this
Currently, it
board,
is on
I'm sorry. Somebody started to say
waiting list for
something.
me. I have to pick it tomorrow.
Our board has always been a very strong advocate for the Library of Things, and I think we really sold it to the City Council. I'm very pleased with that. It's definitely one of the best things we've done. I've only checked out a couple of things, and it's just been tremendous to have.
Yeah, it continues, by the way, and thank you, John. It continues to be extremely popular, and hence our interest in attacking that backlog as quickly as we can, and resuming the acquisition of additional materials, given its popularity. I think it really exceeded our expectations in terms of the popularity and the demand for those items, quite frankly.
And I have a question. So you mentioned one of the person has got there's a start date of working on August 15th. August 15th is a Sunday. So is he started on Sunday, or he or she?
Yes.
I'm not getting it.
Start
Yeah.
date was August the 5th. But Kristen, did you have a
She
comment?
did, yeah, because we're a 7-day operation. That position is a Sunday through Thursday position, which is wonderful to have another supervisor covering the weekends. So yeah, you're correct. Yeah, she started on a Sunday because that's her schedule.
Oh, thank you. I thought like Sunday is very odd to start.
Yes, your Beaverton City Library is
For
a
me, it's like a
7-day-a-week
rest day.
operation. And so we have staff at varying schedules in order to make sure that we can provide adequate services and staffing and supervision 7 days a week.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn. This to be noted for our community. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Glenn? Oh, I had one question. You may not know the answer to this. Kristen might have it. When are the art shows, the teen art show and the adult art show, going to be? Don't know yet.
Art show. There was a recent teen competition. Was that for art, Kristen, or was that for?
I'm not sure. I know that we'll have a teen library council member with us next month, so I know they'll have
Yeah.
more information about it. Those typically, though, I believe the teen art show is typically in October, because Song Circle would get kicked out of the room, so I know that. And I don't know if there's plans to have that in real life or if it will be virtual like it was last year. And it was very popular last year in a virtual format. Yeah.
I'll investigate that, John, and get back to the board to let them know.
With people being in the library, I would hope that we would have both shows in person. I always really enjoy them. And I looked at the virtual one too, but it's smaller.
Oh,
And the
that reminds
sculptures are-
me. I'm sorry. That reminds me, one more item to mention is one of the decisions that the library executive team made in light of the current COVID situation is we have canceled all in-person programs for the month of September.
Oh,
Again, in the interest of the health and safety of the staff and the public. We currently still hoping to host the annual resource fair next month in October. But that also is subject to change depending on circumstances. We just felt it was the right thing to do in light of the current situation.
is the city requiring or going to require all employees to get vaccinated if they aren't already?
That has not yet been decided. The current policy, in fact, it's going to go into effect on September 17th, is for all city employees to provide proof of their vaccination status, or if they do not provide proof, they will be required to wear an N95 face covering while they are on duty in order to protect the health and safety of their colleagues and members of the public. And that is consistent with policies announced or implemented recently by our neighboring cities to the west, Hillsborough and Tigard to the south. Although Multnomah County, which you may be referencing, John, announced last month that they would be requiring all of their employees to be vaccinated. And that was a county level decision. I'm not sure about the city of Portland, but I believe
I
that was
think the
Multnomah
city
County.
of Portland did require it, which is what put the idea in my head, but I'd heard that on the news and I wondered if we were doing it too.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We have time to get to the comment cards, and thank you, Kristen, for typing them up for us. They're readable. Did everybody get a chance to read them? Good. Did anybody have any questions or comments on any of the items? I know we have our usual compliments, and we always get a plethora of compliments relative to anything else. Glenn, you had something you wanted to add?
Yes, I wanted to address the third comment about the quote unquote mess outside of the return book area. That is in reference as we had a houseless individual who was utilizing that area for a particular area or amount of time. And we have since, in working with our departmental partners and also county social service agencies, have been able to address the situation and to offer that individual in question assistance and services in need. And so that area outside of the book return has been, that situation has been addressed and no longer represents a, well, not only the commenter mentions that it's a quote unquote mess, but it was also presenting a safety hazard for folks who were driving up in their vehicles, or in some cases walking up to access the book return. So it was also a safety issue. And so that situation has been addressed. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
That's good. It's a little bit unclear from the context was a little unclear from the comment.
I had seen it and guessed that that's what I was saying. Unfortunately, that is the case, but I'm glad we're able to address it. But yeah, it was a bad look, I think, for the city. So I think it's very good that they're doing something about it.
Yeah, and just so the board knows that with respect to houseless individuals, based on a number of recent court decisions, the way in which municipalities have traditionally addressed those situations has changed. And so the timeline for addressing those situations can, in some cases, depending on the circumstances, take days or if not weeks to address. And so I just want, that said, we are in frequent communication with the police department, the attorney's office, the city manager, community engagement, and engaging with our community partners and social service agencies to address the situation, both short and long term. So I just want the board to be aware of that, and that the process can sometimes take a while depending on the situation, and because of recent legal decisions, which have necessitated a change in the ways in which municipalities have traditionally addressed those situations. And we recently had a meeting with the County Department of Health to talk about a countywide initiative that they have launched in an incorporated county to address encampments and looking for municipal partners on a long-term strategy. And so we are going to be engaging with them at citywide basis and to address those some of those issues on a countywide basis as well.
Are those legal changes, in your perspective, a good thing?
Yes, they have the potential, because by collaborating on a countywide basis, we can extend services and make more services available to folks in need, as opposed to, you know, a one-off individual municipality approach. So having a combined countywide approach, I think, would provide better coverage, more availability, more awareness of services, and better coordination amongst the municipalities in the Washington County area. So I'm very much in favor of that approach, and think it will result in improved response and availability of services to folks who need them.
Good. Kristen, do we have any new comment cards since the ones you sent?
No, all the boxes are empty.
Okay, good. So we're caught up on that. Did anybody else have any other questions or anything else you'd like to bring up? We have about 2 minutes. Good. Well, I think we got an amazing amount done tonight. Don't forget to email Jenny if you would like a free copy of the book. I know I will. Glenn?
Also, I want to put in a plug. We have a runoff municipal election for the vacant City Council 1 seat. And that election is being held this September 21st. We have ballot boxes available 24/7 outside of both library locations. So if you haven't already casted your vote, if you're a Beaverton resident, I encourage you to do so. And unlike where I grew up in Chicago, I'm not going to encourage you to vote early often, but do vote early.
Okay. And there's a debate tomorrow night.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
I was not aware of that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, go through your city emails, Sarah, and you'll get the information, or look on the city website. I'm sure it's there as well.
Yes.
I think it's 7 o'clock. So if you're undecided, and feel free, by the way, to, if there's a chance to ask questions, certainly ask about their support for the library. Which in their previous debate, I'm going to be political here and note that neither candidate mentioned at all. So that needs to happen. Okay, very good. So the date for our next meeting, Kristen, is?
It is October, I just was looking at October 13th.
October 13th. Okay, so we have, again, after holidays this month and Columbus Day next month. So just a coincidence. And then this month we had the unusually early meeting, the first Wednesday being on the month of the month. Okay, with no further business, then I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good night,
John.
everybody.
Thank you, Kristen.
Night.
Thanks, everybody.